So, what to do when your labs are normal and you still feel awful? So, have you ever gone to the doctor and you've had brain fog, joint pain, fatigue, and the doctor's like, okay, we're going to run all these tests. And then they come back and say, oh, everything looks normal, you're good to go. But you don't feel normal. You feel off. You feel like something's wrong. And you just can't figure it out. The doctor doesn't seem to want to dig any further. The thing is, you're not crazy and you're not overreacting and you're definitely not alone. So, today, what we're going to do is we're going to break down why standard tests often miss what's really going on and the five most important questions you should ask when your labs are normal, but your body says otherwise. So, here's the deal most conventional labs are designed to detect disease, not actual dysfunction. There's a big difference between disease and not working well. So your medical doctor, most doctors are when they run tests, they're looking for pathology. They're looking for cancers. They're looking for diabetes. They're looking for thyroid failure, not dysfunction. But what happens when you're just at that verge of something not going right instead of full-blown disease? That's what we're going to talk about today. What can happen is you can fall into a massive gray zone where your results are normal, quote unquote normal on paper, but far from optimal in real life and how you're feeling and what's actually happening in your body. So when you're told everything looks fine, what that really means is we don't have enough data to put you in a bucket of disease at this point. We don't see a disease that we can diagnose today. But that doesn't mean that your body is functioning well. So here's an example of thyroid results. So what you see here is you have hyperthyroid in the top corner and you have hypothyroid in the low corner. And we have normal in the middle, which is green. And what we find is that your results are quote unquote normal right in here. So green and yellow typically are normal subclinical numbers, but you're not feeling well because you're starting to have those symptoms. And your lab results come back in a certain bracket that your medical doctor is going to say, "Yep, you're within normal limits." In reality, you're outside of normal limits, but you're not within the disease limits. So let me show you here. So we have healthy levels and then we have subclinical levels. So this is when you push off to the edge and you're too low or too high, you're in clinical, overt, full-fledged symptoms, you're in disease care. Here, what we're looking at is that you have symptoms, but the numbers don't reflect it directly because you haven't fallen off the cliff yet. So we want to stay within healthy levels, of course. Your body is your best diagnostic tool. So think of your body as a high-tech vehicle. If your car engine light comes on, you're not just going to put a piece of duct tape over that light. You're going to run some diagnostics and you're going to try to figure out what's actually happening in the engine. You don't want to have a high expense problem later down the road when you can correct it right from the get-go. So that nagging fatigue, that daily brain fog, or that off feeling, that is your check engine light. Your body doesn't lie. And if you feel worse in certain environments, like maybe after eating some certain foods or a house that you walk in or a scenario that you find yourself in, you notice that you have certain symptoms, that's data. You want to record that, you want to understand it and start tracking it. So a simple symptom journal can reveal really great patterns that testing might miss. So what do you do when you know something's wrong but your labs don't reflect it? You start asking better questions. And there are five that can change the conversation with your doctor. Let's talk about those. So, number one, you can ask, what might be causing these symptoms, even if my labs are normal? Just straight up ask, what might be causing these symptoms, even if my labs are normal? So, you want to invite your provider to explore function, not just the bucket of disease. And there's a why behind not feeling well. and it's appropriate to investigate the root cause or the thing upstream that's causing the symptoms downstream. We want to understand what's going on upstream. So question number 2 is, what other types of testing could give us more insight? So let's ask about advanced hormone panels. Let's ask about mold or toxin testing, possible micronutrient analysis, maybe some gut health tests, or lean into some of those functional labs. Third question that you can ask your provider is, would you consider referring me to a specialist or a functional provider? You deserve a second opinion, and one that's actually going to listen to you if this doctor's not listening. So if your doctor, your provider, won't work with other providers, consider that a big fat red flag. A good provider knows it's not about them, it's actually about you. And finding the best answer is in your best interest. And if their ego is too fragile to work with a team, you need to get a new provider, just hands down. Walk away, find somebody that can work with a team. Don't be afraid to advocate for you. Would you consider referring me to a specialist or a functional provider? All right, step 4, question 4. What happens if we do nothing and these symptoms continue? The answer is pretty clear, that things will get worse, or those symptoms may fade away, but it's going to morph into something more serious. So you're going to end up with other symptoms. So sometimes that question alone can get your doctor to take you a little bit more seriously, and don't let them kick the can down the road until something's blowing up in your face. We want to make sure that we catch the stuff in the beginning. It's a lot easier to correct things in the beginning than it is when it's all the way down the disease phase. So another question, the 5th question that you could ask is, what is working right now? Sometimes it feels like nothing's working in your body. And if you can parse out what is going well, that means you can figure out and target what's not going well. And then keep asking the question why. If you follow the dysfunction upstream until you find the system or the component that's not working, you want to fix that. And typically, when you fix that, stuff downstream should turn on and function well. And if it doesn't, then you have a point at which you can investigate and fix that section, so further things downstream start to work. So for those techie people, for those engineer types, follow the workflow. What's working, what's not working. Okay. So here's the truth that no one told you. You can be highly intelligent, highly successful, and very proactive, and still be misled by those labs. You can totally look fine on paper in that normal suboptimal range, in my opinion, but normal range. And you can even look fine externally. And those can be true, and you can still be unraveling on the inside. And that doesn't make you weak, and it just makes you aware. It just makes you understand your body a little bit more. And if something feels off, it is. You don't need a lab result to validate your lived experience. Your symptoms are signals, not defects. And with the right lens and the right provider, you can treat them that way. You can treat them to the point where you feel good. So what can you do right now? Right now, you can start a daily symptom journal. So start tracking your energy, your mood, your sleep, your food, and any environmental factors. And some people like to do it in a binder, in a journal, paper and pen. That's great. Some people prefer the digital version. I love my Whoop. I have a journal that I pop into my phone real quick. It takes about 30 seconds every morning. What's happened the day before. It's fantastic. It tracks it all for me. And then you can see the graphs. Something else that you can do is review past labs through a functional lens. So sometimes what is normal is actually borderline or dysfunctional, but not far enough off the edge to be diagnosed as a disease. So understanding what the numbers are for normal, subclinical, and clinical. Subclinical is where we're talking about today, where you don't feel well, but your numbers are within normal limits. They're not falling off the cliff or falling off the edge into the disease bucket at this point. So take another look at your labs and understand what those numbers actually mean. And then another action step that you can take is look for a root cause practitioner who's going to actually investigate with you and not dismiss what you're experiencing. And remember, you deserve a health plan that goes deeper than a 5-minute consult and a prescription pad that's just going to write you off. You're important. So if you've been told that everything is normal, but you still feel awful, I see you. I've been there myself. So continue to watch. Make sure you subscribe. I'll be sharing more about hidden stressors, functional testing, and how to get those answers that you've been looking for. And I would love for you to comment below, what is the most frustrating thing a doctor has ever told you when you knew something was wrong? I'd love to hear your experience.